They said it could never happen. They said the Federal Reserve's monopoly was untouchable. They said states had no power to challenge the almighty dollar. Well, Florida just proved them dead wrong. In a move that has Washington elites panicking and central bankers sweating, the Sunshine State just fired the first shot in America's monetary revolution. This is not about politics. This is not about party lines. This is about your money, your savings, and your future. And what Governor DeSantis just signed into law changes everything you thought you knew about money in America. The implications are massive. The establishment is terrified, and what happens next could determine whether your life savings survive the coming storm. So stay with me. Now listen, Florida just prove that gold and silver are real money again. And here is why that matters for your savings. Every 6 years, your dollar loses half its buying power. That Federal Reserve monopoly that DeSantis just challenged, well, while Florida restores constitutional money, you can protect your wealth the very same way. Gold holds its value when paper dollars collapse, and that's why I trust Noble Gold Investments. They understand what Florida understands. Precious metals are real money. Okay, they make it simple to convert your declining dollars into physical gold or silver. No high pressure sales, just honest guidance about protecting your wealth from inflation. And right now, when you open a qualified account, Noble Gold will send you a free 10-ounce silver American flag bar. You can see it right there on the screen. I was talking to Colin today. I'm waiting for mine to come in the mail. So you can get yours by going to nextnewsgold.com. Or you can call that number on the screen, 877-646-5347. And when you call and ask for Colin, tell him Gary Franchi sent you. Or just call him and tell him how much you love the Next News Network. Either way, because Florida is onto something. That's nextnewsgold.com. And speaking of protecting your wealth, yes, Florida just handed every American a blueprint for financial freedom. Governor Ron DeSantis put pen to paper on HB 999. Think about that. 999. I love it. Like 999 pure gold, right? Making gold and silver legal tender in the state of Florida. No more sales tax on precious metals. Full electronic payment capability. The first major state to restore constitutional money. Let's take a look at some breaking news of the announcement that has the Federal Reserve scrambling. This quick report lays out exactly what just changed in Florida's monetary system. Watch.
Just hours ago signed a bill making the coins legal tender. This legislation allows but does not require their use for payments, including taxes and fees. Government entities that opt into accepting these coins must do so electronically and partner with licensed financial institutions. The bill also exempts gold and silver coins from sales tax.
Tax-free gold and silver that you can actually spend. That's a game changer for every Floridian. Now watch, here's Governor DeSantis himself making the historic announcement. This is the moment the Federal Reserve's monopoly started cracking. The first major state to recognize constitutional money. Watch.
The bill I'm going to sign today is legislation that is going to allow Florida to recognize gold and silver as legal tender in our state. And we have the ability to do that under the federal Constitution. There are only 2 states that have done it thus far. They're smaller states. We are the first large state to step up and to get this done. And this is right out of the Constitution of the United States. So this legislation will authorize money services business like check cashers or PayPal to transmit and accept payment in gold and silver. That means these precious metals can start functioning like real currency again, not just investment vehicles for the wealthy. And you notice what's happened in recent weeks and months. How has gold gone down or has gold gone up? Gold's gone up big time because investors are looking at this and they're hedging against, they see the bond yields have gone up. I think they moderate a little today, but when people start seeing that, gold is a place they're going to. So it's not just an investment, it'll be something that you're going to be able to use, and it's something that is very likely to hold its value, certainly compared to fiat currency. Now, we've seen the downgrade in the credit rating over multiple administrations. We've seen a lot of problems with the DC swamp. This is our ability to give you the financial freedom to be able to protect yourself against the declining value of the dollar. And so I'm really appreciative of the legislature for doing this. I think this is something that shows Florida is continuing to lead on a lot of the issues that matter to people, and I look forward to signing this into law momentarily.
So there it is. Real money returns to America through Florida's front door, and Washington can't stop it. But here's what makes this revolutionary. Government entities that chose to accept gold and silver must do it electronically, partnering with licensed financial institutions. We're not talking about carrying gold coins to pay your water bill. We're talking about a modern digital system that recognizes real money. DeSantis took to social media to drive the point home about why this matters for every Floridian fighting government overreach and dollar devaluation. Brian, bring up that picture. This is what he posted on social media. HB 999 financial sovereignty. That's what he posted. It's really beautiful. I'm excited for this. I mean, think about it. The timing couldn't be more perfect, though. While Washington prints trillions, Florida offers citizens an escape hatch from dollar devaluation. And
breaking news from the Sunshine State.
Ann Vandersteel broke down exactly what this means for the future of money in America. Watch.
Breaking news from the Sunshine State. Florida just made history again. Governor Ron DeSantis has officially signed HB 999 into law, cementing Florida's bold stand for sound money principles in an era of inflation and reckless federal spending. That's right. HB 999 recognizes gold and silver as legal tender. Kind of sounds like what our Constitution has been screaming about for 250 years. And yes, this is giving Floridians a choice beyond that fiat fake green stuff, challenging the Federal Reserve's monopoly. Folks, we are going to take down the Fed because this law is just not symbolic. It opens the door to parallel economies, private exchange networks, and state-level sovereignty over monetary policy. And as Washington, D.C. prints trillions, Florida's taking action, bringing back trust, tangibility, and constitutional money. Is this the beginning of the end for the Fed? I think so. Or is it a first step in a national gold and silver revival? We'll keep watching. Stay tuned for more breaking news around this very important subject of sovereignty. I'm Ann Vandersteel with American Made Action.
The beginning of the end for the Fed? That's exactly what we're witnessing unfold right now. But how does this actually work on the street level? Well, I sat down with Colin Plume from Noble Gold Investments today to get the real story on what you can actually do with gold and silver in Florida right now. Watch.
Yeah, and that DeSantis bill, that just happened yesterday too. So gold and silver.
I wanted to ask you about this. I just was looking up on X to see the latest gold price, and then this thing pops up.
Yeah.
DeSantis signs a bill to make gold and silver legal tender in Florida. What the hell is going on there?
Yeah, so basically you can use gold there to buy goods. I mean, really the reason they do it is like Utah was way ahead of this, is that Utah many years ago started to allow people to pay taxes or anything in gold and silver. And think about how well they've done as a state because of them accepting that. And Florida, I think they believe in, free enterprise, and obviously they want to allow people that, people will be able to buy things in that state with gold and silver. But selfishly, I think the state is looking for a good revenue stream because they'll accept gold to pay off, if you have any kind of bill that you owe to that state, you'll be able to pay it through gold and silver.
So this is a state-based situation where you can pay your taxes or whatever to the state in gold, because it says make gold legal tender in Florida. So does it also include going to the 7-Eleven and buying a Red Bull with a tenth of an ounce of something?
Yeah, you could buy a lot of Red Bull with a tenth of an ounce of gold. That'd be a lot. You could pretty much buy all 7-Eleven with a tenth of an ounce of gold. You could get chew. You could get all the hot dogs.
Well, let's play this out then. How does that actually function in real life? Because the coins, the legal tenders I've seen that come from the mint, it says like $50 and it's a tenth of an ounce or whatever it might be. So the face value of that coin is different from the actual melt value.
Correct. Yeah, it's not going to go based on face value.
So play it out. Just play it out for me here.
Okay.
We go to 7-Eleven. We want to buy all the Red Bull in stock, and we bring out this coin that says 50, but its melt value is $600 or whatever. How does that even work at the cash register? I mean, I'm just throwing out this hypothetical.
Yeah. No, I think, and it works in pawn shops all the time, and they do this all the time. They would have to weigh it and authenticate it to make sure it's real. I think silver makes more.
Pooh is going to have to learn a new trade.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, if you're the owner of that 7-Eleven, if you have to take the dollar, or if you're going to take a credit, like you would much prefer to take gold and silver, right?
I mean, certainly would.
Absolutely. So silver probably makes more sense for that, for a small purchase. But like, let's say you need a new transmission. If you need a new transmission, it's going to cost you $2,000 to $8,000, right? So a gold piece would make sense in that scenario.
Sure.
Right. A 1 ounce gold piece. The $50 face value that you were saying, that's on the American Eagle coin.
Yes.
So that coin today is probably worth, $3,400, $3,500.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
You could pay. I mean, listen, you could pay your mortgage with it. You could pay your rent. It's all going to be acceptable in that state. And I think
that's wild.
The smart money is going to accept it. The smart money is going to want it.
Yeah, they will. Now, think about this. Paying your mortgage with gold? Paying your rent? This is not fantasy anymore. It's actually Florida law. And Andy Seckman reveals this isn't just Florida. Over 20 states are moving towards gold and silver as legal tender. The monetary revolution is spreading faster than the establishment can stop it. Watch.
Why? Why are they accumulating all this stuff and doing it very clandestine and not reporting it? Some get caught. And 40% hasn't gotten caught. Where did it go? Who's buying it? So the biggest money in the world, think of misdirection, speaks to the risk on trade. The biggest money in the world is doing the opposite. They're cornering the risk off trade. And that's the thing that I would focus on very much so. But it is intriguing when we realize that Judy Shelton is advocating for gold, that Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, his largest holding is in gold. Cynthia Loomis is talking about revaluing gold. You're beginning to see things move. And many of the states, over 20 states in the United States, have either passed legislation allowing it to be legal tender for all debts, public and private, or are moving towards, like here in Florida, they are doing a study on this with the intent of moving towards adopting gold and silver transactions, whether it be digital or physical gold eagles, as an example, for all debts, public and private. We're getting a little bit more about it.
The biggest money in the world is cornering the risk off trade while telling you everything's fine. It's time to wake up. Now, DeSantis didn't stop at monetary policy. He called out Washington's spending addiction and showed how Florida manages money responsibly while D.C. drowns in debt. Watch.
$1 trillion deficit is a tax on you. It works its way through the economy. There's no free lunch, and that's what ends up happening. And it's a little frustrating. Elon Musk went into this Doge effort. He was getting lampooned. I mean, like, they're firebombing his Tesla dealerships. Media is smearing him relentlessly. His businesses suffered, all this stuff, because he basically said, look, we can't keep doing this, and we need to moderate and reduce the amount of money that the federal government is spending. And yet, we have a Republican Congress, and to this day, we're in the end of May, past Memorial Day, and not 1 cent in Doge cuts have been implemented by the Congress. That's one of the reasons why we need a balanced budget amendment to the U.S. Constitution. It's another reason why we need term limits for members of Congress. But I think what you've seen with how, and I kind of said this early on, that Doge and Elon were on a collision course with the swamp. And the question is, what would happen? And I don't think there's any question that Doge fought the swamp, and so far the swamp has won. And that's just unfortunate, but I don't think you can look at this any other way. So this is hardwired into how the people in Washington are borrowing and spending your money. But it has huge implications for the viability of our economy, our country, and everything going forward. And, you know, don't tell me it can't be done. When I became governor, so if you look at, Florida's been a state for 180 years, if you look at all the debt that's been accumulated over our entire history of statehood, just since I've been governor, we've paid off 41% of it. And we're doing more every day. So that's not adding to debt, that's reducing debt. We have the lowest per capita debt of any state in the country, and if you looked at what your share as a Florida resident is for our outstanding state debt, it's about $400 a person. What is your outstanding share for the U.S. federal debt? It's like $105,000 a person and escalating. Ours is declining. You also look at Florida, we have the lowest number of state employees per capita. Don't have a big bureaucracy. We are also the second lowest in terms of spending per capita of all the 50 states.
41% of all Florida's debt paid off under DeSantis. Meanwhile, your share of the federal debt, $105,000 and climbing. Now, this fight for sound money is not new. Ron Paul's been warning us for decades. Watch him now grill Ben Bernanke about competing currencies and exposing the Fed's lies about inflation. Watch.
I'm glad to see my friend President Paul back from the campaign trail. This seems to me like deja vu all over again.
Mr. Bernanke, if you don't mind, would you tell me whether or not you do your own shopping at the grocery store?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you're aware of the prices. But, you know, this argument that the prices are going up about 2%, nobody believes it. You know, and the old CPI says prices are going up at 9%. So they believe this. And people on fixed incomes, they're really hurting. The middle class is really hurting because their inflation rate is very much higher than the government tries to tell them. If you loan me $100 and in 2 years from now I gave you 90 back, you'd be pretty upset. But we hand back money back that's worth 10 or 15 or 20% less, and nobody seems to be able to do anything about it. It's very upsetting. But it's theft. If I don't give you your full $100 back, if you loan me $100, I'm stealing $10 from you. So somebody's stealing wealth, and this is very upsetting. But, you know, in January at one of your press conferences, you said that you sort of poked a little bit of fun at people to downplay the 2% inflation rate. But if you say it's 2 and I say it's 9, it's compromised for the sake of argument that it's 5%. That you said that if it doesn't hurt you unless you're one of those people who stick their money in the mattress. But where are you going to put it? Are you going to put it in a CD and not make any money at all? So this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't encourage the savings, and it just discourages people. But I do want to make a point about prices, because prices go up. That, to me, is not the inflation. It is one of the bad consequences of the inflation, which comes from the increase in the money supply. And that's one of the bad effects. But, you know, you took over the Fed in 2006. I have a silver ounce here. And this ounce of silver back in 2006 would buy over 4 gallons of gasoline. Today it'll buy almost 11 gallons of gasoline. That's preservation of value, and that's what the market has always said should be money. Money comes into effect in a natural way, not in an edict, not by fiat, by governments declaring it is money. But why is it that we can't consider, you know, the two of us, an option? You love paper money. I think money should be honest, constitutional, still on the books, gold and silver, legal tender. Why don't we use it? But why don't we allow currencies to run parallel? They do around the world. One of my options, you know, as much as I would like to do something with the Fed, I say the Fed's going to self-destruct eventually anyway when the money's gone. But why wouldn't we legalize competing currencies? Why couldn't people put this in a mattress and get 4 or 5 times much of the value in a few years? So the record of what you've done in the last 6 years is destroy the value of real money.
First of all, good to see you again, Congressman Paul. Just one word on the inflation. Of course, those numbers are constructed by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, not by the Fed. They're independently constructed, and I think they're done in a very serious and thoughtful way. On alternative currencies, nobody prevents you from holding silver or gold if you want to. It's perfectly legal to do that. And you're also it's also perfectly fine to hold other currencies, euros or yen or whatever else. So in that respect, you can do that, and I'd be happy to talk to you about other options.
Mr. Chairman, that's not money. I mean, when you pay taxes to buy a coin or you have a capital gains tax, when it's not, if you have to settle a lawsuit, it's always settled in depreciating Federal Reserve notes. It's never settled in the real contract. So that's nothing near money when it's illegal to use it. But to do it, you'd have to repeal the legal tender laws. You would have to legalize this. You'd have to get rid of the sales taxes. You'd have to get rid of the capital gains taxes. People, even in Mexico, they're talking about this. They're trying to have competing currencies. They've been wiped out too many times with inflation and wipe out the middle class. They're allowing people to start to save in a silver currency. So I hope we move along in that direction, because there shouldn't be any, overwhelming changes all of a sudden, that there could be a transition. People could vote on it. Maybe they'll give up on the Federal Reserve note and vote for real money.
I'd be very happy to talk to you about it.
Thank you very much.
Oh, man, what a beautiful flashback. Well, that silver ounce that Ron Paul held up, it preserves value. Your Federal Reserve notes, they are designed to lose it. Now, the Fed claims they don't own gold, but Ron Paul exposed their shell game with gold certificates. Watch them squirm when asked simple question about America's gold reserves.
I understand it. But what people hear when you say independence, they hear secrecy. You're going to keep it from us. And like the point I made at the beginning, the SEC is to pressure companies to reveal information, where the Federal Reserve does the opposite. They want, no, we can't tell anything because it might disturb the markets. But I do have one question. During the crisis, or any time that you're aware of, has the Federal Reserve or Treasury participated in any gold swaps arrangements?
We don't. The Federal Reserve does not own any gold at all. We have not owned gold since 1934. So we have not engaged in any gold swaps.
But it appears on your balance sheet that you hold gold.
What appears on our balance sheet is gold certificates. When we turned before 1934, the Federal Reserve did own gold. We turned that over by law to the Treasury and received in return for that gold certificates.
If the Treasury entered into, because under the Exchange Stabilization Fund, I would assume they probably have the legal authority to do it. They wouldn't be able to do it then because you have the securities for essentially all the gold?
No, we have no interest in the gold that is owned by the Treasury. We have simply an accounting document that is called gold certificates that represents the value at a statutory rate
and still
that we gave to the Treasury in 1930.
And still measured at $42 an ounce, which makes no sense whatsoever. But, the conventional wisdom today says that gold is really not money. We don't want it to be money. I mean, if you're for the gold standard, there's something wrong with you. Yet we hold the gold. And, there have been suggestions made, and I've sort of, encouraged the suggestion. If gold is not money and it's an asset and you don't even use it because it's on your balance sheets and you don't even use it at the real value, would you have a position on this? Why shouldn't the Treasury just sell the gold, give it back to the people? The people had it at one time. Let the people have it. Would you have any objection to that? Would you advise us and say, no, that's not good. We ought to hold the gold. Do you think holding the gold is a good idea or a bad idea?
So I have no position on that at all. That's clearly
no position.
The Treasury. It's a matter for the Treasury. It's not within the purview of the Federal Reserve.
$42 an ounce on their books when gold trades at $2,800 back then. That's government accounting for you. And the ultimate question, does America even have the gold it claims? Well, Ron Paul demanded answers that the establishment refuses to give. Watch.
The big question everyone wants to know, do you think the United States still has all its gold?
But the truth is, I don't know. I think the gold is there. Ownership is a question because there's a lot of borrowing and gimmickry that goes on. And that's why the audit is so important. When I was one of two members that supported the gold standard back on the Gold Commission, there were only two of us that voted and said, let's audit the gold. Let's have a good, true assessment. But the 15 other ones said, no, we don't want to know. I wonder why they didn't want to know. Because when I asked for a vote in the House, we did pretty well. We got all the Republicans, and they're all not all libertarian, and a bunch of Democrats voted for it, realizing that revealing what's going on is not necessarily a partisan issue, and it's a good issue.
So the audit is so important because without it, we're trusting criminals with our wealth. No wonder why they fight it. Other nations, they're not waiting. Zimbabwe just launched a gold-backed digital currency to escape hyperinflation caused by money printing. Watch.
Of Zimbabwe introduced this Monday a digital token backed by gold as legal tender. The aim is to help stabilize the Zimbabwean dollar and protect citizens from currency fluctuations. The gold-backed digital tokens will be a form of electronic money backed by Zimbabwe's gold reserves held by the central bank. Over the past year, the value of the Zimbabwean dollar has declined significantly, with $1 now worth approximately 1,000 Zimbabwean dollars, compared to 150 Zimbabwean dollars a year ago. Zimbabwe has been drowning in double and sometimes triple-digit inflation for over a decade.
When Zimbabwe leads on monetary policy, you know your dollar's in trouble. The world is watching. And Senator Cynthia Lummis has an even bolder plan, a strategic Bitcoin reserve to shore up the dollar and pay down debt using existing resources. Watch.
The other thing is the proposal that I have and that President Trump has discussed about a strategic Bitcoin reserve or strategic Bitcoin stockpile, where the United States would acquire and hold Bitcoin for 20 years. Because of the way that Bitcoin has been appreciating since inception, this would be an asset that could help shore up the US dollar as the world reserve currency and serve as a reserve that could be used to reduce the national debt significantly. The American people are still hurting from inflation, from high prices, and they want the national debt reduced. These are ways to do it with an asset that is immutable, can easily be held by the federal government in a variety of vaults, and that states can participate in as well. So this is the gold standard digital asset, and a strategic Bitcoin reserve is the way to embed it.
We got off the gold standard a long time ago. My question is how much you would spend tax dollars at a time where we're talking about trying to reduce costs. How much would you spend on Bitcoin as part of this reserve?
We wouldn't have to spend any new dollars. We have reserves at our 12 Federal Reserve banks, including gold certificates that could be converted to current fair market value. They're held at their 1970s value on the books, and then sell them into Bitcoin. That way, we wouldn't have to use any new dollars in order to establish this reserve. The United States already holds over 200,000 Bitcoin in the asset forfeiture funds. So that would be the initial source of Bitcoin. So no new money spent on this reserve.
Revalue those gold certificates. Convert to Bitcoin. No new dollars needed. That's innovative thinking. Now, Florida just proved that states don't need Washington's permission to restore sound money. The Federal Reserve's paper monopoly is cracking. The revolution starts in your wallet. If you found value in this report, hit that subscribe button. My closing thoughts are coming up next. Now, this isn't just about Florida. This is about the future of money in America. When states start rejecting Federal Reserve notes and embracing constitutional money, you're witnessing the beginning of the end for the banking cartel that's robbed you blind for over a century. Every dollar in your pocket loses value by design. Every ounce of gold holds its purchasing power by nature. And DeSantis just gave 22 million Floridians the choice. Which will you choose? So here's my controversial question for you. Should your state follow Florida's lead and make gold and silver legal tender? Drop your answer in the comments. Yes, if you want real money, and no, if you trust the Fed. I already know what real patriots are going to say. This is the monetary revolution they feared. We're taking our wealth back, one state at a time. And if you want to show where you stand, check out our Next News merch shop. It's linked down below. Real news for real Americans.